Hello, friend. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to cover the difference between assisted living, adult family care home, and independent living business models in Florida. We know that the right business models make a huge difference when deciding your lifestyle as you are caring for people who need your help on a day-to-day basis. And I feel that establishing your lifestyle preference is just as important as serving the seniors and making money doing it. Have you ever been in an airplane? I travel a lot and I hear there's always put on your mask first. And I thought to myself, knowing me, I would probably completely disobey that. I would probably try to put on my husband's mask, my children's mask, everybody's mask, 4 different masks before I put my own mask on. Okay. Reality is, I would have to put on my mask before I could help 4 additional people. So, choosing the right business model is like putting on your mask before you can serve everybody else or before you can save everybody else. Being called to serve is a beautiful calling. Choosing the right model help you to actually accomplish that calling. So it is just as important. Wait, if you are new here, welcome. My name is Carlene Cadet Francois. I help busy professionals convert buildings into thriving licensed assisted living businesses throughout the state of Florida. We'll go into adult family care home because I believe I talk a lot about assisted living, even though I will go into the difference between the two. Okay. So adult family care home structures are typically for people who usually empty nesters. For example, their children are out of the house or they are a single person living in a big house, for example, and they have several other bedrooms available that they are not renting, that they want to make the highest and best use of that business and also bring in some income doing so. For the adult family care home, you are required to live in the house with your seniors. So what it looks like is you live in the house, perhaps you have a bedroom on one side of the house and you have 3 or 4 other bedrooms, sometimes even 2 extra bedrooms, and you decide to open an assisted living structure in it. Only difference between the adult family care home and assisted living is you are required to live in the house with your seniors for the adult family care home, and you are not required to live in the house for the assisted living. There is also a difference in how many residents you can have. For example, for adult family care home, you are capped at 5 residents. So regardless of your space, like if you can take more than 5 residents, they will not allow for a licensing above 5 residents. But for assisted living, there is no cap. Your zoning designation establishes how many residents that you're able to have if you have the space to hold those residents. Both structures have a space requirements and square footage requirements per person. Okay, so if you're going to put 2 people into a room, you need to have a very minimum of 120 square footage. But the bigger, the better, because there are fire safety issues that gets into if the room is too tight. Because remember, you're caring for people that need help with moving around. They're gonna move around with either a cane or a wheelchair, and then you want to have space for your caregivers to care for them. So the more space, the better. And if a space is just 120 square footage, make it a private room. Please don't fit 2 seniors into that space because there are safety reasons. These are minimum requirements, but as a caregiver who is very safety conscious, the more space, the better. And if you don't have enough space, make it a private room. Okay. So also for the adult family care home, there is a training that you take, but there is no state exam. Assisted living, there is the Florida Administrative State Exam that you have to take and actually pass it to become the administrator. Now, if you are not going to be the administrator, you're not required to pass that state exam. But I always say, especially for the smaller structures, if you're opening anything within residential designation, you should take and become the administrator, because if something happens, you want to be able to step in and run your business. That also involves if, say, for example, you have a friend or family member or business partner who is your administrator, you also want to have those education in place, because I can tell you, especially for people that have family members helping them, things seem to go wrong a lot more than I would like to admit to. So you want to have those education in place. When it comes to regulation, fire safety, and all of those requirements, adult family care home, you're still required to have those generators. You're still required to have your fire and sprinkler system. Some areas will say that you don't have to have a sprinkler system as long as you have a fire system for the adult family home structure, since you're living in the house with your resident. But if you have the ability to do those things, get them done, because in a worst case scenarios, both you and your residents are protected. Because remember, you're caring for seniors who may have other limitations mentally, physically, and you never know. In a worst case scenario, you want to be sure that both you and your residents will be safe. So if you're able to, even if a fire sprinkler system may not be required, depending on your area, make sure you get it. If you're able to, it will pay off, because there are fire safety drills that you'll have to do, and both you and your residents will have to be able to evacuate the building within a certain time frame, usually less than 3 minutes. And if you're not able to abide by those fire safety rules, the fire department will do two things. They will require you have more staff. And the more staff you have, the more it's eating up on your income, especially if your staff to resident ratio is already established. And also, if you can't pass those fire safety measures, even after you hire additional staff, you will be forced to have the fire sprinkler system. Now, if you could imagine having seniors and having to evacuate those seniors so that you can have your system installed, I'm telling you, you don't want to do that. You want to have everything you need in place before you bring your seniors in, because I will tell you, you don't want to send your seniors anywhere, okay? I was going to say people will steal your seniors. It's actually true. If you have seniors that you send somewhere else, and the senior end up falling in love with those other people, and things happen, they may not come back to you. So you want to be structured correctly so that you can keep your seniors in place, and you can make sure that you are doing the right thing. In a worst case scenario, you're structured correctly. So that's the difference between assisted living and adult family care home. And if you're someone who wants to be completely independent of your business, you want to avoid the adult family care home, because you are the business. Like, there is no separating between you and the business, because you are in the house with your seniors, and you will have help. You will hire caregivers to help you, but remember that there are no separation. But if you are someone who you want this type of structure, because one, you want to be able to get yourself into the business, get your foot wet. You already have a property, you have the space where you can house up to 5 people. You want the highest and best use of that location. You want to be able to do that. That's a great structure for you. And there are strategies where, you can take time off, can hire caregivers to help you, and you have the mindset shift of, this is something that I'm doing. I'm making a difference doing it. I'm changing my bloodline in doing this. And the seniors, they become part of your family, and you gain yourself several other grandmas, grandpas, or even moms, okay? And that will be the right mindset for you to embody. And it's not for everyone, because you have to make sure that you are able to accept that environment as your regular environment until you're able to get another property, move out, and convert that same building into an assisted living. So those are also choices that you can have. Just because you have the adult family care home, you can start there. Once you have generated enough income, you could move out, whether you go rent or buy another house, and then you convert that same business that you already have all those systems installed into it into an assisted living. So what that would look like, you would basically do a whole assisted living initial licensing, and then you would change from an assisted living where you can have, if you have the space for it, how many residents that the zoning allows you to have. And you, once approved, you can keep the same residents that you currently have. Okay, very similar, same type of structure, different paperwork, a bit more paperwork, but the caring and the type of staff that you hire will be no big of a change. Okay, so very easy. I don't like to say easy, but it's not difficult for you to start with the adult family care home in goal in mind, that at some point you're going to convert it into an ALF once you decide where you're going to go. Now, for assisted living, you're not required to live in the house, and you can have as many residents as the zoning says that you can have. You are required to have all the systems that we mentioned for adult family care home: fire alarm, fire sprinkler generator, ADA compliancy, the size of your bedroom, all of those information. The same staff that works in the adult family care home structure can also work in the assisted living business structure. Okay. Now, for assisted living, you also have the choice of having license designations. Like, for example, you can do the limited nursing, LNH. Some people have decided what type of residents that they will cater to. Some people have chosen to do the mental health designation, limited mental health, accepting a certain type of residents. Some people have decided to become a smaller memory care, assisted living business. You don't have those choices with the adult family care home structure, but on the assisted living side, you're able to have different choices as to what type of residents that you're catering to based on their specific challenges and your experiences. Like, people who choose the limited nursing, sometimes they have a nursing degree, or they have nursing experiences, or they want to open a certain type of structure where they are caring for people post surgeries, and also they are using their nursing skills to be able to keep or do more than an administrator without that nursing skill would not be able to do, like dressing wounds and things like that, and administering shots and things like that. Okay, so income levels. So the income levels are around the same umbrella. Of course, if you have a license designation, limited nursing, if you have, for example, memory care or even mental health, you tend to charge a bit more for those specialties. And so there is a difference in fees. If you were to choose, okay, which one you can charge more or less, for assisted living, you charge a bit more, but you can charge about the same for the adult family care home, because you are still providing care for the seniors, and then they live with you. So the fee structure is around the same. Okay. When it comes to the independent living structure, I will go into what I've seen different businesses do. And I don't help with the independent living structure. There is no black and white. There's a lot of gray and not so many black and white in that structure. So I don't specialize in it. But from what I've heard, I don't specialize in it. But what I've seen different businesses do, usually the larger setting, they will have their assisted living side, and then they'll designate part of the assisted living side, and they will designate it as an independent living. For example, so in essence, they are licensed, let's say, for 80 beds or 120 beds. And they will decide that I will take out of this 80 beds or 120 beds, I will take 60 of those beds and I will call them independent living. So the seniors will be able to come and go as they please, but then we are over their medication management, making sure that, if they didn't come back home, that their families are being notified. They're technically independent. Okay. And usually they charge less for that structure because those seniors are not in need of too many ADLs, activities of daily living. So what they charge those seniors are less than what they charge those other seniors who are in the assisted living area, receiving multiple help with their activities of daily living. That's the difference. But if you look all together, you will find that they are licensed for X amount of beds, but they are choosing some of those beds to be independent living. But all in all, it's a licensed assisted living business. Okay. And technically, they are providing the housing for the seniors. Okay, so that's how that works. As far as for the residential side, I don't get into the independent living, but I would assume that you are a landlord type of thing, and it's like a shared space from what it sounds like when I talk to people who are actually doing that. I don't like that type of structure because I can't develop a system around it. I can't develop check sheets around. You get what I'm saying? So I stay away from that. But these are the difference between the two. Now you understand what is an adult family care home. The education requirement is online. You take the training, you get the certificate, you add it to your employee file. You're required to live in the house with your seniors. And if that's your strategy, you have a home you have enough space and you're able to have that structure, and you have the proper mindset of how you're going to navigate. Your home is the business, and that's part of your strategy. And then you have the assisted living setup where you are not required to live in the house. Or also for the adult family care home, you're capped at 5 residents. And then you have the assisted living setup where there is a state exam that you have to take. Zoning establish how many residents you can have based on how many bedrooms you have. And also, you're not required to live in the house, and you can have license designations and you can hire staff. And then you have the independent living structure. I've explained how I've seen different larger settings do it, and it is a service that I don't offer. There's a price difference between those 3 business models. Both setup, whether it's assisted living or adult family care home, you can rent to do those setups. I highly recommend that you buy your own building and do it. But if you're not able to and you want to get your feet wet, that long-term lease will serve you. If you found clarity in it, please consider to like, subscribe, share it with a friend. There's a free workbook that you can download to keep everything organized. Write your questions in there and comment below what was your big takeaway from this video. Until next time, I will see you in the next one. Talk soon.